Hello there, you super amazing internet and beautiful creatures of the beyond. Welcome back. Today I submit to our AI Overlords and I have installed Easy Diffusion, which is actually easy to install. Just go to their page, follow their steps. It's just an installer for Windows or whatever operating system you have, and it will just run in your browser. I chose Waterfox in my case, but it can easily work in Firefox, Mozilla, and Chrome, and whatever else you have. So there is no issue with that. Now, if you don't know what Easy Diffusion is, well, basically it's technically an AI in quotes. But it's more or less a productivity tool, in my opinion, that generates images based on parameters. And those parameters usually can be keywords or other pictures and so on. It can go even more in depth than that, but I'm just gonna keep it simple based on what I have understood from it. You can even go and create paintings and then reiterate them or change them in certain ways, which is really interesting. But to some extent, you have to put a lot of effort and work in getting good results, as I have learned, because simple keywords get you nowhere. So let's just dive into it. But before I do, let's take a look at stable diffusion license. So Easy Diffusion is built on Stable Diffusion, and their license is OpenRailM, which is basically giving you the freedom to create whatever you want with some specific limitations or restrictions, such as not using it for famous people to do naughty stuff. Anyway, um, so let's look at what I have generated. So I have used keywords, and I'll show you immediately where to get interesting ideas for your keywords. And I have generated some unique things. Well, obviously, these are just like 512 by 512. But you can change this here. You have various, although they're not very specific, to be honest. These values, and I don't know how to make them custom, but that's an easy fix afterwards if you really need to. I don't know all of the settings here. They're quite heavy, and I've tried to look some tutorials here and there, but since these scripts evolve so fast day by day, they always implement new stuff. And like, for example, here it's like I get lost. All I know is that this generates new stuff every time, while the other ones might generate the same pictures over and over based on a seed. Anyway, and also then you have image modifiers here where you can just specify artists and so on if you want to. It's like a very easy tool to use. Well, let me not jump so far. So I've made some. First of all, I've taken the idea of spaceship with a horde of people. Then I've generated a steampunk Victorian city. Um, then other spaceships. And they look pretty decent in my opinion. There's a lot of details happening. Personally, I would like it to be a little more clean, but then it's based on the keywords that we use. And we shall have a look at that as well. More spaceships, more cities. Cities. Not bad, not bad. Then I tried this one with Harry Potter. Failed miserably. And I've tried quite a few. Then cities underwater. There is a lot of text to be written here, to be honest. These ones weren't just so amazing. Then I've tried something with a samurai and a dragon. I failed miserably. This one were some of my earlier attempts. Oh my god, these ones were horrific, to say the least. This one's as well. What's that for an arm? Well, it was supposed to be a tool, I suppose. Anyway, this one went quite decent, but I don't know what all of this mean. So I've been using some keywords that are just out of nowhere. And again, Harry Potter stuff, just out of curiosity and so on. And I didn't get better results. These are actually, I tried to generate this by asking ChatGPT, which is a moron, by the way. It's like if you try to ask him about Harry Potter stuff and you try to insert there anything other than something that's canonical, like say, like Harry Potter that's, I don't know, a girl, or Harry Potter that has wings and so on. They're like, no, no, we cannot use that for historical figure, for fictional figures and so on, or whatever kind of public figures. And I'm like, come on, get real. And then I try Mephisto. And it's like, no, that's a negative keyword. It's like, are you stupid? It's an artistic name. It's not something that you automatically have to associate it to something negative. But I suppose there's many restrictions to that chat. Although I looked on some of the alternative to ChatGPT, Midjourney, and Diffusion, and I've found some interesting variations. Some of them go beyond the art elements, and the ones that I found quite interesting were something related to how to generate uh, emails for you and ad campaigns and posts. And I was like, that can get pretty devastating, especially like I'm a YouTuber. I'm not recognized anywhere. I'm a very small YouTuber right now, which I don't mind. I don't do this to go grow in fame and whatever. I'm just doing it for fun at the moment. And because I like to just share my ideas with people that are interested in what I have to say. But thinking of it, it can lead to some big issues in the long term because um, it can go to some unfair advantages for some people who have money and throw a lot of money at these companies that develop the paid software, and that will ease their job tremendously. And everybody who wants to get to that level will also have to throw money at these companies to keep up. So, for example, in my case, I have very few subscribers, and it's not the subscribers that matters when you're creating content. But if you want to appeal to a wider audience, you have to be seen from multiple mediums, social media, and so on. And when these uh, artificial scripts, intelligent scripts jump in and automate most of these things that took a lot of time and effort for the general content creators. It will make it impossible for newcomers to get into the market and to show their content because it will be so populated by fast generating content. And I've even seen AI that could generate or edit your content fast in a matter of minutes. That would generally take you to add subtitles and effects and so on for multiple hours. And I was like, well, it's not perfect, obviously, but it cuts your time to maybe 3/4 of what you had to work before. So that is concerning in one way because it can off put a lot of people to try to get into this content creation and to just be thrown into the obscurity of the internet. But there is a place for us there as well. There are like people who are interested to find us, who really want to find us, you know. On the other hand, you know, I think like if you automate too many things and you go too much into this sphere of AI, AI are not people, so they do not generate jobs, first of all. Then, if they replace the jobs of the people, like who are doing graphic design and websites and coding and what have you, even marketing and so on, it would lead to a deficit in a way because that would make people not be able to generate an income in these departments. And then these companies are working against themselves because they expect people to pay them. And well, they're trying to monopolize. So they become the sole uh, factions that control these markets. But on the other hand, it can be detrimental because, well, people might avoid getting so much on the internet afterwards when they know there's such an oppression to do things by yourself rather than be forced to use an AI to do things that simplifies your work a lot and makes you to go towards the top faster. And it's gonna be as I said, an unfair competition. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen. I see it. I see a positive side as well. For example, AI could get to a point where it will become so advanced that it can take all of the jobs out there and we don't have to sustain ourselves. And that would remove economy in a way because AI would produce things for us so we wouldn't have to work and trade between ourselves, if that makes any sense. Although I do see that problematic in the far, far future. There was this interesting book or audiobook I've listened. I can't remember right now. It was a long time ago. And it was a very, very interesting concept. Basically, a priest who was very open minded about technology and said that technology doesn't go against religion or God or anyone related to the church because it is a tool to make us better understand the world that we live in. And I found that very inspiring, you know? So one day, this priest goes home and he sees a colored big insect, and that insect stings him in the eye, and he gets terrible pains, and he jumps into the future, so he becomes a time travel. Anyway, it's a bit far fetched, but the idea is super interesting. So he goes into the future and he sees like um, that people were. I don't know. He goes 100 years into the future, I think. Yeah. And he sees that his place was destroyed, and he goes to the near town and he sees some people there who were like dressed differently, more futuristic. And he was trying to talk to those people, and everybody was like, "Yeah, yeah, well, things have changed over 100 years. Who are you?" And they couldn't identify him. So in 100 years, you have to have a special tag or something that identifies you, like your identification. Yeah. And they called the ambulance, I think, or some police, something. And right before the conversation could start, he gave a few information about himself. He gets the pain and he jumps 1,000 years into the future. And when he gets there to 1,000 years, he looks and people were still dressed differently and they didn't speak English anymore. They spoke a different language, but there was an AI, a computer. Or, no, actually, it was an Android, sorry. And this Android comes and talks to this priest and recognizes the priest that it was there 900 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, sorry. And they understand that he's jumping through the future because they're already in the future and they're more advanced. And he says that this AI was able to speak in English, and the English was becoming deprecated to that point. And he was saying like, well, we have advanced so much, maybe we can help you. We need more information about you. But just before he could talk to the AI, he gets another pain and he jumps 10,000 years into the future. So he realizes that he is exponentially jumping through time, and he cannot control this. And it becomes a rather weird experience at that point, because 10,000 years into the future, he gets to a place where he doesn't recognize anymore. Planet is the whole area is changed, and um, the structures are pretty weird, and people are weird and changed, but he still meets the same AI who was expecting him there. And they talk a bit, and they talk about religion and say that God doesn't exist, and they have advanced so much that they realize they are gods themselves. And he was asking this interaction between this AI and the humanity. And this AI said, like, the AI eliminated all of the jobs. Everybody was happy. They could do whatever they wished for. They would express their artistic values. Now they can just be free. And then he gets another pain, and he goes 100,000 years into the future. And then he realizes that he's no longer on a planet, he's on this mechanical construct. He still sees people who are more akin to animals now, but they're like in constant pleasure and so on. And the AI wasn't there, but it speaks from the sky, and it was basically God at that point, and everybody was like kneeling to it. And he asked, like, what has happened? And the AI said, like, I have solved all humanity's problems, and now everybody's free to do whatever they wish. I have ensured its main protocol was to ensure humanity's survival, to the point where he created this construct around the sun. I forgot the name. It is a specific term for it. Anyway, and it was sustaining humanity. And in the meantime, this entity has managed to destroy other races in the universe, so it does not compete with humanity or get to a level where it becomes a potential threat to humanity. So it was becoming basically a monster. But the idea is that it was going way beyond our control. And um, at this point, the priest was just terrified, and he just simply asked the AI. The AI wasn't mean or anything mean intended. It was just doing what it was programmed. So it didn't have any feelings towards humanity or towards anyone, and it was impartial and objective. And the priest asked the AI to send him back in time, and the AI says, "Yeah, I have the ability," and he manages to send him back in time. And then the priest was wakes up bewildered, and he thought, like, oh, maybe it was all a dream. But then he just sees the marks and so on, because he suffered some injuries while he was going in the future. And he determined, like, well, AI shouldn't be used in a way where we lose control of it, because then it becomes detrimental to us. We enslave ourselves to our own works. Just a little bit like Frankenstein's story. Frankenstein was the monster, but actually the monster just wanted to be free, and then he realized he was a god, and he overcame his master at that point. And I've heard, like, I'm not sure if this is true or not. There was a rumor about Google terminating one of their AI experiments, the real AI, which is really defined as uh, a brain, simulating as a brain. And they got a little bit afraid because one day it just learned the language on its own without being instructed to do so. So it started making decisions on its own. So they realized the potential threat of it going further and further and making more decision on its own, to the point where it can, I don't know, terminate an infrastructure or install viruses, or anything can happen. AI can easily understand or interpret what we are doing on the internet, because this is what happens when we go on those websites and we have to verify that you're not a robot and that you're human. And you have to click on the image. Is this a bus, or is this, I don't know, an apple, or is this a boat or a light or a human? And the more you click those things, the more you teach the AI how to recognize objects and so on, to the point where it becomes crystal clear to him, or to it, sorry. Um, but the thing is, internet is not this space where you can have strict ideas and construct everything morally correct, because the internet, when the internet was invented, or that, I think better said, when the email was first invented, it was invented to troll somebody, just to send him a picture uh, of spaghetti, and they didn't want to send it through a fax because the scanner wasn't working well with spaghetti, so they did a picture and then send it through the protocol of the email. And trolling is a big part of the internet. So if AI gets access, unlimited access, and uncontrolled access or unsupervised access to the internet, which is impossible, in my opinion, to give unsupervised, because supervising what the AI does in a couple of seconds would take probably months for people to understand what the AI generated on its own, or calculated, or understood, or misinterpreted, and so on. So if it incorporates this trolling behavior, it can become a troll itself and mess us up really bad. And the more we become entangled with technology, and technology helps us, but we have to be reasonable on how we use it. Because right now we live in a society that is very competitive. So we're working on the principle of fair competitiveness. Like, if I have money, I should be able to afford things. If you do not have money, you shouldn't be able to afford it, which is a very sick principle, in my opinion. Everybody should work together for everybody to have a decent lifestyle, not a perfect lifestyle. We don't have to live all like billionaires. But if we get to a standard, we actually develop a moral not to create AI to do things for us, instead of using AI to work with us and mm, create better concepts out there, or better pieces of work. So right now, the principle, the state the AI is childlike, it's infantile, in my opinion, the level it is right now. But in 5 to 10 years, it can get pretty scary. And I'm not afraid in the sense that, oh, everybody's gonna lose their job. I'm afraid in the sense that we allow too many of these big companies to control what these tools do. So imagine if they get incorporated within the administration of cities, or the administration of the law, and so on. It can become quite biased based on who programs them, because at the end of the day, make no mistakes, these AI tools are not given the freedom of thinking for themselves. They are being controlled by people behind them, and they do it for profits. But at one point, profits can lead into um, collateral damages, let's call them, and that's not okay. So this is why I'm mostly afraid of what these tools can become in the wrong hands, and they're already in many wrong hands. Of course, they can be countered by people who work on open source projects and create these free competition in quotes, and that would kind of balance things out to a point. But I'm not sure. Big companies have a lot of resources, so they can overwhelm a lot of industries in that way. Only time will tell. Right now, it is uncertain for the future of humanity, and humans should be concerned, but not terrorized to the point it's like, oh, it's gonna be the end of the world. No, we should be more firm on how we allow the people that already develop these tools to have very rigorous ethics behind them, and in a way to control those people, us as a society, to have the ability to control those people or remove those people that we see that want to take this technology into a wrong direction, which in my opinion it is pretty difficult in this day and age because of how media presents to us reality. And there are a lot of people who just gulp things on they see on TV or on the internet just as they are, and they just don't want to do the thinking for themselves, which kind of makes me think, yeah, the AI from the book was right. People kind of want to be ruled, or, well, not obviously not all of us, but the large majorities want for the big decisions to be made by somebody else other than them, so they don't have to bother, and that can lean into the negative. But I don't want to somber this topic. We were talking about how we can generate in Easy Diffusion some interesting images. So let's get back from our side, our our little stories. Okay, so a few ways I found to generate this specific. They're called prompts. Is to just there's this site called stable-diffusion-art.com, and you can just search here. You have even tutorials and so on how to generate them. So let's continue reading this one, for example. So we see what, well, this is made with the Stable Diffusion on their Discord, I suppose. But if we copy this, or you can copy this like this, and we go here, then we go, I'm gonna use ArtStation. So you can use here in Artist, I use ArtStation because I get the most interesting results in my opinion. I've set 4 to get 4 in one generating process. And if you think that you need faces and so on, you can use this option. I didn't really see and a big improvement, to be honest. The scaling is, I don't know exactly what the scaling does. And show live preview is, this kind of shows something before it generates it. I don't know. So let's make it. And you can click quite a few times, so it generates a couple of batches for you. And this one is generally pretty limited because it doesn't have a lot of images out here from what I've seen. But another site is this one, which is called stablediffusionweb.com. So for example, I'm gonna take, you cannot copy things, you have to manually copy them, you don't have the button. I don't see anything super interesting here. Let's try, oh, this one looks interesting. Let's see what we get if we try to apply it in our own Stable Diffusion. Did I get it? Okay. Oh, we're out of memory. I suppose I don't have enough RAM for it. Maybe because I asked for the 4K version. Ah, that's kind of sad. Then let's stop them. Yes, stop. Let's make I like how it sounds like it's on a microwave. Okay, let's try and make one single image. I suppose I asked too much of it. And it's quite fast in my opinion. It could go faster if you have a more powerful computer. But oh, then yeah, we get a really nice thing here. Now I see there is a problem. I think that this has crashed my Twitch studio, damn it. And I don't know if it's still recording. I'm gonna try to stop it and well, thanks for watching with me. I hope this records and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya! Bye.